Natalie was filled with joy as she prepared to join in matrimony with Benjamin, a young man with great aspirations for success. In addition to being the love of her life, Benjamin had recently graduated from university and had plans to pursue a postgraduate degree. However, Natalie's future mother-in-law was not happy with the impending marriage. She believed that her beloved son was going to ruin his life by marrying that poor girl, Natalie. She did not like Natalie at all and considered being a nurse in a hospital as an insignificant profession. That was the partner her brilliant son did not deserve, in her opinion. Of course not, her son deserved more, and she would take care of getting rid of that girl no matter what. At that moment, Natalie had carefully chosen her wedding dress, opting for a simple and affordable one that she had bought herself with her savings. She had tried it on with excitement several times, delighting in how it enhanced her figure. However, just 2 weeks before the long-awaited celebration, an unexpected twist changed the course of her life and led to the painful cancellation of her eagerly anticipated wedding. In her daily routine, as Natalie walked back home through the picturesque park, she was startled by the heartbreaking cry of a little one coming from behind an old bench. Moved by curiosity and compassion, she quickly approached and discovered a 6-month-old baby with curly hair and dark skin crying inconsolably in a modest basket. Unable to resist, she picked him up. The scene deeply moved Natalie, not only altering her wedding plans but also her perspective on life. Living very close to the park, Natalie decided to take the child to her home. She then asked her neighbor, Mrs. Monica, to stay with the baby for a while. While she was away acquiring the necessary items, Mrs. Monica, observing the little one, couldn't help but express her concern in a scolding manner. "Are you naive or what, girl? Do you understand the magnitude of what you've done? How could you bring him to your house, and now what do you plan to do with him?" "Serenity," Natalie replied, "tomorrow I'll take him to the police station, ma'am, don't worry. It's just for tonight, and I'm sure Benjamin will help me with everything." "How do you plan to explain it to the police?" "I can bet they'll subject you to questioning, and you might end up in court. I'm sure that's the last thing you want, and honestly, you should have avoided all this from the beginning. It would be better if you returned him to that place and saved yourself all these problems." "What are you saying, Mrs. Monica? This baby is not a cat. Actually, I wouldn't even leave a cat on the street, both of them make me very sad. But besides, oh my God, girl, I don't know what you're thinking. How do you plan to explain all this to your future husband, especially when you're on the verge of that long-awaited marriage? Benjamin is a good guy from a good family. I don't think they'll accept you with these excuses. Remember that Mississippi Vanessa doesn't want you in her family, so she'll do everything possible to convince Benjamin to leave you and that child. It's nothing but trouble, I assure you, girl." "Leave it where you found it," advised Mrs. Monica, but Natalie shook her head. "Benjamin is understanding, neighbor, I'm sure he'll understand the situation," Natalie tried to justify, seeking to calm Mrs. Monica's concerns. However, Benjamin not only didn't understand the situation, but he became so enraged that he even raised his hand to poor Natalie. The man had started to suspect infidelity on Natalie's part, fueling the idea that she had hidden the truth and that the child had been born many months ago. "Tell me, Natalie, tell me. How long have you hidden this baby from me? We've been together for 6 months. What a disgrace. I can't believe you've made a fool out of me. You gave birth so long ago and hid it from me. You left this child with someone else. You're an unnatural mother, and now you expect me to accept him as if he were mine. I'm sorry, Natalie, but I don't want anything to do with you or your child anymore. Also, haven't you realized it's quite peculiar? I can't believe you have a child with dark skin. For God's sake, keep him away from me." Natalie was left distraught. Stunned by Benjamin's words, she would have never expected such a reaction from her future husband, the man whom she swore to know and love. This was especially hurtful because he had judged that little child solely based on the color of his skin. Not only that, but he had also accused her of being unfaithful. "Benjamin, why don't you trust me? Everything I've told you is true," exclaimed Natalie, trying to justify the situation. To this, Benjamin responded, "Perhaps you should go to the South African consulate. There, you'll surely find someone willing to marry you quickly. You can deceive one of those men more easily than you can deceive me. That child has dark skin, he'll easily pass as one of their children, not mine," added Benjamin, expressing his mistrust and disappointment towards his future wife, revealing the bitterness the situation had caused in their relationship. Benjamin left, and Natalie succumbed to heart-wrenching tears. The situation had caused deep pain in her heart. She spent an entire week trying to reach him, but Benjamin didn't answer calls or text messages. Finally, it was his mother, Miss Vanessa, who answered and spoke to Natalie in a high tone, not caring to moderate her words. She demanded that Natalie leave her beloved Benjamin alone. "Not only do you not deserve to be with my son, and I knew it from the beginning, but you also make him feel humiliated. You've made a serious mistake, dear. These secrets should be revealed after the wedding, not before. But now it's too late. I've managed to get you out of my beloved son's life, and that's the most important thing. And you did it yourself. Your actions speak volumes about your character," scolded Vanessa. "But, Miss Vanessa, that child is not mine. I don't know why you judge me for having the kindness to welcome him into my home," Natalie pleaded. She was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. "You don't understand. I found him. I don't know where he came from," she added. To this, Miss Vanessa responded coldly, "Oh, now you're going to come up with those tales, girl. Don't you realize that I know very well what people like you are like? Did the stork bring him to you, huh? No, right? Well, I'll tell you something. Forget about Benjamin. He doesn't even remember you. Today, for example, he went to Camille's day, that beautiful girl, someone perfect for him. So, you see, if he didn't tell you, it's for a reason," replied Vanessa with a coldness that heightened Natalie's suffering. Natalie hung up the phone with a sigh and approached the little baby, who was playing in the makeshift crib she had set up. "Do you realize, little one, the amount of problems you and I are facing now? They're not normal, but it doesn't matter. We'll manage somehow. What we need is to move away from here. Yes, we'll move together. I'm paying the rent, but soon I won't be able to do it anymore. What do you think if we go to the town? I have a small cabin there inherited from my grandmother. We could live together." The underlying reason behind Natalie's decision to keep the baby was the lamentable situation of the orphanages in the country. The centers dedicated to caring for orphan children were completely neglected, and the authorities did not properly attend to them. Many children, upon reaching adulthood, ended up in precarious situations without proper support. Natalie could not ignore this reality and decided to take on the responsibility of caring for the little one. 5 long years had passed since she left the city to move to the countryside. Initially, the town's inhabitants observed her with curiosity when she walked with the little boy or ran errands, and they didn't trust her much. They didn't believe that little Randy, as she had named him, was her legitimate son due to the difference in skin color, but Natalie genuinely didn't care. Only she and the little boy knew the reality they had to live with. However, with time, people got used to it, and they stopped bothering her with their questions. The new life in the town gave Natalie and the child the opportunity to start fresh, free from the prejudices and judgments of the city. Natalie decided to legally name the baby Randy once she completed all the paperwork and obtained the birth certificate. Her training as a nurse proved very useful, especially because no doctor wanted to establish themselves in the picturesque town where they now resided. Natalie took on the role of a nurse at the local medical clinic, making it easier to obtain the necessary documentation for her son. Life in the town continued its peaceful course. Each day seemed to pass with the same serenity as the previous one. Little Randy, now accustomed to calling Natalie Mom, filled the daily routine with laughter and mischief. Natalie felt deeply proud to be his mother, considering him her most precious treasure and the best son in the world. The bond between them strengthened over time, woven with love and mutual care. This way, Natalie's life continued. She learned to bear scarcity with dignity, holding her head high. The memory of Benjamin and her previous life faded with time, and she resigned herself to the idea that it was for her to be tied to that small town alongside her adopted son. However, destiny had other plans reserved for her. One day, an imposing car stopped in front of Natalie's modest house. A tall man with dark skin, dressed in an elegant suit, descended from it, followed by a young woman. A driver, dressed in a simple white shirt and jeans, closely followed them. Surprise reflected in Natalie's eyes as she observed them, but soon she sensed that their visit was destined for her, and there was a specific reason for it. In that instant, she understood that perhaps the moment was approaching when she would have to part from the child she had come to consider as her own. "Good morning, ma'am," began the tall man with dark skin, revealing a subtle accent. In her words, "We need to talk to you, it's very important." "Certainly, please come in," Natalie responded, stepping aside to let them in. At that moment, little Randy peeked into the room, surprised to see the visitors. However, as soon as he identified the man and the young woman, the boy ran towards them with the intention of hugging them. In no time, they were wrapped in an emotional embrace while the child, still unfamiliar with them, recognized his true parents. The woman cradling the child in her arms began to cry and exclaimed how similar the little one was to his father. At that moment, Natalie knew the truth. The tall man couldn't contain his emotions either. He embraced his wife and the child simultaneously, shedding tears of happiness and kissing Randy, who still didn't fully comprehend what was happening. Yet, deep down, his little heart felt an affinity for these strangers. When the emotions finally settled, Natalie brewed some coffee and extended an invitation for everyone to sit at the table. She already had knowledge that they were Randy's father and mother. On the other hand, Sam, the driver, briefly explained that the tall man was the consul, and the woman was his wife. In their country, both held significant positions, and their family had fallen victim to political intrigues, resulting in the abduction of their little one when he was only 8 or 9 months old. For years, they had searched for their beloved son, unable to find him or have any signs of him. They thought the baby had passed away until one day they received information about a white woman with a dark-skinned baby in the northern part of the country. With hope in their hearts, the parents resumed their search, with the assistance of their dear friend Sam, who also joined the cause. That's how their efforts led them to this quiet town. A few hours later, the three bid farewell, taking Randy with them, revealing that he was the heir to the throne. For a whole week, Natalie was immersed in deep melancholy. However, several days later, she received a cheerful visit. It was Sam, the driver, who came to share that the child was more than well and would receive an education in the diplomatic corps. Randy's true parents were very wealthy, and his future would be splendid, full of opportunities and prosperity, something humble Natalie could never have provided. Though she was happy for her former son's future, she felt her heart breaking as he was no longer by her side. "Thank you, Sam, for coming and giving me this information. I'm truly worried about Randy. I had gotten used to having him here," expressed Natalie, with evident pain in her words. Despite being aware that the little one would have a truly privileged future, the void left by his absence in Natalie's heart was undeniable. "I can imagine, Natalie, but I want you to know that I haven't come just for that reason. The thing is, I've never seen a person with such a big heart as you have. I mean, you weren't afraid of anything, not of being condemned by society, not of being mocked, and not even of facing difficulties. I'm a man, and yet I don't see myself capable of confronting something that requires so much courage. Likewise, I'm impressed with the way you've raised the child. He speaks like an adult and even knows how to read," said the man, praising the excellent work Natalie had done. not only as the little one's mother but also as his teacher. In reality, Sam, if I'm honest, I was very scared indeed, Natalie responded, recalling everything they had gone through together in that humble cabin, far from the comforts she had in the city and often facing hunger. You see, Sam, at night, I found myself crying and thinking that I was a fool. But love and the desire to protect that little one were much greater. I don't know why, but I thought that without me, the little one wouldn't have a good future. The fact that he speaks and reads is not my merit at all. Randy is a very intelligent and talented child. As Sam continued visiting Natalie, their relationship evolved from a connection based on caring for Randy to an even deeper and more personal bond. They got to know each other emotionally, sharing their stories, dreams, and fears. Natalie admired Sam's strength and dedication, while he found in Natalie a brave and compassionate woman. As they shared laughter, faced challenges, and revealed moments of vulnerability, Natalie and Sam discovered that their lives complemented each other harmoniously. Gradually, both found themselves involved in mutual affection. They finally decided to get married, but after some reflection, Natalie accepted the proposal and asked Sam to wait at least 2 or 3 months before taking the step towards marriage. This waiting period would allow them both to adjust to the new dynamics of their lives and solidify their relationship before embarking on the commitment of marriage. I don't have much, Sam, and from what I know, you aren't wealthy either. What do you think if we don't have a big wedding? Even so, I should have something to offer you. As for the rings, we can save up between the two of us and buy them. I'll also need to move to another place. I want to sort out all my affairs and transfer my responsibilities to the nurse who will eventually take my position. It may seem like someone interested in the job, and that's fine, Sam. When the day before the wedding arrived, Sam went to Natalie's house to pick her up. Together, they headed to a charming hotel where he informed her that she could spend the night, assuring her that he would send a stylist along with a specially chosen dress for her in the morning. I hope you don't mind, my love, but I bought everything myself. I wanted to surprise you. Is that okay? Sam asked with a smile, pointing to the box containing the carefully selected dress for her. Okay, my love. Thank you very much, Natalie sighed, admiring the box that held the mysterious dress with a mix of excitement and curiosity. The next morning, knocks on the door woke Natalie. It was time to get ready for the wedding. When she opened the mysterious box and saw the dress Sam had chosen especially for her, she was completely surprised. The garment exuded elegance and refinement, reflecting the meticulous attention he had put into every detail. This dress couldn't be compared to the humble one she was going to wear at her previous wedding, which she had funded with her modest savings. Surprise and gratitude filled Natalie's heart, creating an atmosphere of special anticipation for the day ahead. My God, how much must Sam have spent on all this? Natalie asked with wide-open eyes. The dressmaker responded, That shouldn't worry you, miss, she said with a reassuring smile. Now I'll take care of styling and makeup, so please make yourself comfortable and just enjoy this moment. Natalie looked at herself in the mirror and was filled with awe. Stupefied, the transformation was astonishing, although she felt somewhat uncomfortable due to the extravagance. At that moment, she was informed that the car was already waiting for her. Upon arrival, they found themselves in front of a majestic wedding palace, and Natalie's nerves intensified as she walked down the aisle. She marveled at the elegantly dressed people chatting and smiling in a celebratory atmosphere. The ladies wore exquisite attire and observed her with admiration. Sam smiled at her from the entrance. What does all this mean, Sam? Natalie asked, even more surprised. Well, you see, you are marrying me, and the consul lent us this beautiful place for the wedding, he replied with a radiant smile, revealing a hint of mystery. Natalie's astonishment was evident in her expression. But you're just the chauffeur, she said. No, not just the chauffeur, my dear. I'm also a friend of the ambassador, to whom you returned his beloved son. By the way, here's the complete family, Sam announced, pointing to a group of distinguished people approaching with evident warmth. Natalie turned, and little Randy ran towards her with enthusiasm. The young woman knelt to embrace the little boy. Strong applause resonated throughout the hall as the guests were already familiar with Natalie's touching story and her love for little Randy. The celebration was a resounding success, full of emotions and gratitude. Over the years, precisely 15, Natalie experienced the fulfillment of a happy life with her beloved husband, raising their 2 children, a girl and a little boy. Additionally, she continued to thrive in her profession. She had studied and worked hard to secure the position of chief surgeon in a renowned clinic. One day, she was taken to the operating room to treat a patient with extremely severe fractures. Natalie immersed herself in the task, dedicating tireless hours to reconstruct the man's bones. Emerging from the operating room, exhausted but satisfied, an elderly woman turned to her. "Doctor, can you please tell me if my son will live?" "Yes, Miss Vanessa, your son Benjamin will live. I did everything possible, even the impossible," Natalie responded, exhausted, as she headed to the rest area. Vanessa, still not completely understanding the situation, approached the first nurse she saw. "Excuse me, miss, what is the name of that doctor?" she asked, pointing to Natalie, as the woman seemed very familiar. "Her name is Natalie. She's our best surgeon. She has a God-given gift. Not only did she save your son's life, but it's also possible that he can walk again. You'll see." "Her name is Natalie," exclaimed the nurse, surprising Miss Vanessa. "It can't be. Now, she has children and is married." "Yes, that's right, ma'am, and her husband works in an embassy. I think he's a high-ranking official, and they have 2 beautiful children, both with dark skin," the nurse explained. "Could it be that Dr. Natalie's children have dark skin?" Miss Vanessa asked. "Well, you also know this story." "I apologize, the truth is, I don't know it. I just assumed." "Well, one day, Natalie saved the son of a consul or maybe even an ambassador, but I'm not sure," said the nurse, leaving. Vanessa covered her mouth with her hands. How could she have been so wrong? But, of course, who knew that these things could happen? If she had helped. She sat at the wheel, contemplating how much time and money would be needed to recover. And then, perhaps, she would have to apologize to Natalie. If she forgave her, maybe Natalie would be encouraged to help them, but it was very unlikely. The saddened woman sighed. "Life is so unfair," the elderly woman reflected. "Some people have a complete home, a solid marriage, honor, and wealth, while others, like my Benjamin, live immersed in poverty and pain. God, how wrong I was about that girl, and now I truly regret my actions," the woman affirmed, lost in her thoughts. With time, Miss Vanessa decided to confront the past and missed opportunities. So, she sought out Natalie to express her gratitude and offer apologies for not recognizing her worth. To Miss Vanessa's surprise, Natalie received her with understanding and without resentment. Benjamin, though facing difficulties, began rebuilding his life with the support of his mother and the unexpected help from Natalie. He managed to overcome his problems and resumed the path to stability. Over time, he found a new calling in education, becoming a dedicated teacher committed to the well-being of his students. Dear friends, the story of Natalie, Miss Vanessa, and Benjamin became a testimony of second chances. As the years passed, life offered them new perspectives and possibilities, proving that sometimes destiny can change when least expected. Thank you very much for joining us in this reflection. I look forward to seeing you in another video on this channel. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.